Hi everyone, it's Marissa from bumblebeeapothecary.com, and today I'm going to show you how I cook beef tongue. While tongue isn't technically an organ so much like other organ meats, it's still a really important thing to include because it's a very gelatinous meat, which means it's very easy to digest. It's very easy to prepare, and it's actually very delicious. So let's jump right into the recipe, and I'm going to show you how I make this. So I'm really just going to start off by adding a bunch of stuff to my cast iron Dutch oven. You can do this a variety of ways. You can do it in the crock pot. You just need to account for the time that it takes the crock pot to heat up. You can also do it in a pot on the stove, or you can do it in a Dutch oven in the oven. So I'm going to be doing it that way. So I have my oven preheated to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm just going to start adding some stuff to my Dutch oven. The first thing that I'm going to add is going to be my beef tongue. I'm going to be cooking 2 of them. And I'm just going to add them right to my Dutch oven. Now, later on, after the cooking, it'll be really easy to remove the skin and kind of clean them up and all of that. So we'll talk about that later. And these are frozen. Ideally, it's best probably to start with them thawed, and you can wash them off and everything, but I didn't plan ahead well enough, so we're just doing them frozen, and it works fine that way too. And then I'd also like to try to add a beef knuckle bone into the pot as well, just because adding a bone adds a different a variety of nutrients as well. So this stuff will fit down in there better once it's thawed, but this is okay for right now. And I like to try to fit 2 knuckle bones in there if I can, so I'm going to try to go ahead and just stick that in there. Next, I'm just going to add a couple vegetables. So I'm going to do some onion and then some carrots, and then I'll add peas and garlic towards the end of the cooking. But I do like to have these in there at the beginning. Since I have, these are going to be cooked in water and there's the knuckle bones in there, we're technically also making a really nice meat stock. So it's helpful if there can be some carrots and onions cooking in that liquid from the beginning. You get the nicest flavor that way. So since this is cooking a longer time altogether, the pieces can be a little bit on the bigger side. They will come apart and be, small enough to eat easily at the end of the cooking time. And of course, the amount of vegetables and all of that can be adjusted to your liking, how many people you're feeding and what you want, all of that. And then you can cut the vegetables whatever size you want to. If you want the onions smaller, you can do that. You can do the carrots smaller. I kind of like to do bigger chunks for the carrots in this kind of a dish, since they are going to be in there longer. I just think I like how they turn out that way. Okay, and this looks kind of full, like I said, just because they're frozen and stiff, but as things thaw, it'll all sit down in there nicer. Alright, and then I'm going to add some salt. I have my nice Baja Gold mineral salt. And then depending on if you're on gaps on the earlier stages and you haven't introduced ground pepper yet, you can do whole peppercorns in a tea strainer or even just loose. We're doing regular ground pepper today. And then we're just going to add water. Oh, and I forgot, before the water, I do like to tuck in the bay leaves somewhere where they'll be down in the liquid. So 3 bay leaves I think is good for this amount. And then add the water. And that's pretty good. And then I'm just going to put the lid onto this. And then I'm gonna take it and go put it into my oven. It'll seal down once, you know, stuff is settled down in there more. The lid will sit on the pan if you can see that it's not quite meeting. Not a big deal at this point. So I'm gonna go put it in there for about 5 hours at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And then about an hour before I want to eat, I'm going to add some peas and some garlic. And then once those 5 hours are up, I'll show you that next step. Okay, so now it has been baking for a while and it's technically done and ready to eat, but I do want to add the garlic and peas. So the way I like to add garlic to something like this is to use a garlic press. And I will do about 2 garlic presses full of garlic. And of course the amount of garlic really depends on what you want. And if you're on GAPS, what your body is doing well with. Add that. I always add the crushed part and then I go ahead and put these parts that were in the upper part of the garlic press too, just because that has a lot of good garlic in it too and I don't want it to go to waste. Yeah, it's gonna be good to eat. And I'm just gonna add a bag of frozen organic peas. So then I'm going to put the lid on that and return it to the oven for at least 15 to 20 minutes. It could go longer too, but it doesn't need very long. The peas will cook pretty quickly and the garlic, it's nice if it's not overcooked as well. Okay, so now it's back out of the oven and it's ready to serve. So I'm gonna show you the next thing, which is probably the thing that people are a little bit most unsure about when they go to eat a beef tongue, and that's okay, it's cooked, but how do I cut this up and eat it? So let me show you. Once it's nice and soft like this, it's not very hard at all. Not very difficult, rather, to get the skin off. So, usually use 2 forks, and I usually end up doing it when it's hot. I mean, of course, it would be easier to handle if you let it cool down a bit, but we would rather eat it when it's hot, so just using 2 forks so that I don't burn myself. But see how the skin just peels right off very easily. So what I'll do is I'll just go around and just peel that off. And then once that's off, you'll see that the meat will slice nicely, like a really tender roast. So this part right here is kind of like where it was attached more, and there isn't like clear skin to take off of there. And then this part, the tongue part itself, is where most of the regular meat is going to be. So I usually kind of just don't worry about this part too much. It has some good connective tissue in there and some meat. So, I mean, if you see some good pieces of meat, you can kind of take those out and include them. But for the most part, it's going to be this section here. Just taking that skin off.
Some peas.
Yeah. Careful, it's hot.
I want to eat one.
Okay, just a minute and I'll dish some out for you. Okay, so there's that. And it looks like there's a chunk of meat I'll probably want to save right there. So I'll try to separate that out. And then all that's left is this end. Okay, and that's pretty much all there is to that part. And then what's left is just either cutting it or shredding it up. So we have eaten this before, so we're okay with the idea of it being tongue or whatever. So we're just gonna kind of slice or, you know, cut up pieces and eat it that way. But if people are more new to the idea of eating tongue, it's a good idea to go ahead and take it and shred the whole thing, and then nobody will know nobody will be the wiser. They'll just be like, oh, nice, tender, delicious beef. And it's really good as taco meat or in burritos. You can cook this with a variety of different vegetables and spices, depending on if you're on GAPS or where you're at with that. You can get more creative with spicier flavors. This traditionally is a common thing in Mexico to make, I found out. So that would be, more of the Mexican flavors, and Mexican dishes are really delicious with this meat. But you can also do it like we're doing here with our kind of more traditional American vegetables, carrots and peas, onions, and then just slicing it up like that and eating it along the side. So then I'll go ahead and serve it up on a plate in its slices like that. And that one still has some stuff. And
Yummy dot.
there we go. And then some carrots and peas along the side. Does that look good? Yummy.
Is that for me? Is that for me?
Yeah, you're gonna have some. And then we have our beautiful meat stock too. And you can either eat this in a bowl with the meat stock, with the vegetables and meat like that, or you can do like I like to do and ladle it into a mug. And I like to strain it to do it that way. So I have my little strainer here, and I will just ladle some in. And have a cup of meat stock on the side. And then last of all will be our fermented food. So sauerkraut or any kind of fermented vegetable would be great. Alongside this, we actually need to make more sauerkraut. So we don't have that, but I'll find something to have alongside. And that is that. There's the beef tongue and meat stock along the side. So very easy to put together, and a great different kind of cut of meat to add to your diet and try to eat on a regular basis. I hope that you enjoyed seeing that. I'll have some links below to a good place to get 100% grass-fed beef, as well as one of my favorite places to get other grocery items. I also have links to some free ebooks and other goodies. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with anybody else that you think would like to see it. And if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I get out 2 new videos every week on nourishing recipes and natural living. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.